Okay, let's go to Abuja. Tokwe, what's your take on this?
Well, first of all, I think that I'm excited, first of all, and I think it's a great thing. It's what we've always, some of us have always advised the central bank to do. I've always been of the opinion that the banks are better off deploying, in terms of meeting the demands of the public. I think that the policy was initially mismanaged because from a political angle, the central bank did not get the political support that they needed. And for some reason now they've got it, and I think it also depends on which kind of economists we're listening to. This is our economy. We should actually think about the sustainability of this economy beyond the issue of who JP Morgan is listing. We shouldn't be also thinking about just foreign portfolio investors. Can this economy reboot itself? Those who talk about floating the currency, those who talk about the true value of the Nigerian naira, should remember that we're talking about an inefficient system. In the same country where we have somebody keeping $9.8 million in some jungle. And there are hundreds of those kind of people. So before you will get the true value of the naira, you probably will have to bring in all the monies that's outside. You'd also have to even reform the fiscal policies of government. What are we spending on? In the 2017 budget, how much of importation is going to be there from all the MDAs? But it's what we've always said. I mean, the former policy gave 60% of foreign exchange to manufacturing sector. Every week you look in the newspapers and they're talking about this equipment and that equipment that they've brought in. And then you're wondering when will this equipment start to translate to production? And when is that going to reflate the economy from within? So I think that the economy is overrated. From the perspective of the financial market guys who like to talk the economy down, the economy is overrated. There's nothing in there, really. I believe that the central bank has finally done the right thing by staring down the market and say, okay, guys, we can meet this. And, rather than also taking a pessimistic point of view to say that they can't meet it, the point now is that the naira has gained 100 naira to the dollar in 2 days or 3 days. And if that also is sustainable. Then I probably will close by telling you, in the theory of currency crisis, the first one says you should not fix your currency. And people have learned that a long time. I mean, if you remember George Soros and what he did to the UK pound, was that 2002 or thereabout, in what they call the Black Wednesday. So you don't fix your currency. You don't say, okay, we're going to keep it at this level. The second thing is that, the second generation of currency crisis says what they call self-fulfilling prophecy. People should not talk down their currency. If you talk down your currency goes down. So there's a war now. The war is between those who talk down the currency and those who are going to talk up the currency. And at 500 naira to the dollar, Nigerian naira became one of the weakest currencies in Africa. So what is there to say for being the largest economy in Africa, right? I mean, the same people. So of course, before now, we didn't have a real policy action. It's nothing to say, oh, I'm not going to devalue the naira. What are you going to do when IMF and World Bank is breathing down your neck? But this is the right thing to do because it's very significant that the perception management is absolutely critical to the management of currencies, right? If somebody wants to travel abroad and is able to work with his bank or wherever is there's transparency and also get as much as is required to get and leave. That's all that matters. People want to pay their children's school fees abroad. They're able to go to their bank and process it. Before now, they have to wait for 6 months, right? So if we can do this, we can buck it. There was a time in this country where we had the so-called black market, where the malams are, guys are, and they made 2 naira spread between that one and
okay, so let me come in here. A lot of people since that Monday, they've said, expressed the same kind of fear that Tunji expressed here, that how is the central bank going to fund this, continuously, not something that, okay, artificially, let us just bring the naira down for now, and then things can go back or even grow worse than they were before. So now looking at, the issue of foreign investment, there's not much coming in. How do you think the central bank is going to continue to use the reserves to, to back the naira against the dollar?
I think we need to address it because he raised this issue.
Okay, let's talk just where.
Again, the issue is that there's a lot of the demand is speculative, really. I mean, it's a joke, right? People come, and if we track the money, we'll be able to tell exactly where the money is going to, right? So the point, I'm telling you that there was 60% being allocated to the manufacturing sector. And, to a large extent, we didn't know where the money was ending up. And a lot of these sharp guys come and talk about how, Nigeria's demand for FX. Nigeria's demand for FX should be traceable to its productivity. Nigeria's demand for FX should be traceable to its manufacturing sector. Nigeria's demand for FX should be absolutely traceable through technology. So, and we should be able by now to be able to chart and say, this is exactly the demand, right? But I think what's been happening, I've seen transactions in the last few weeks, that were done with people making a spread of 100 naira. You want to get central bank money at 305, you have to add 100 naira before it goes through. And there's no way you're going to continue to maintain an economy in that realm. If you can take out those inefficiencies, certainly the central bank can meet the demand. Okay. We did for so many years in this country without this unnecessary crisis.
I think that it's very important for what is happening now that we address the issue of sustainability. That's why he raised it. And so if we're going back to him, that's not I thought that was logical. If you're talking about sustainability, what have they said they're going to do? They're going to give $1 million a week to each of 21 banks. I sat down, I did the calculation. They're saying in 1 year it's about $1 billion. Central bank can certainly sustain this. And we're saying that's no problem because we need to make sure the psychology of the market. They're not going to sustain it. They'll do it for 2 weeks down the line, they're going to stop it. Now we have reserves that's close to $30 billion. We just raised bonds. And I said to Nigerians watching this program that this thing is going to be sustained. I said somebody's going to interfere with it. Don't interfere with it. And if you sustain this and we sustain it for 3 months, it's going to be the scenario is going to be completely different from what you're seeing today. That's why I said you shouldn't go back to him because he raised it. And he also talked about why there's nobody manages the black market or call it pirate market. You have to manage it because it's important. The rates people are quoting, that's the rate people are quoting because that's the rate that people think that more closely. Mirrors, the real situation. Now, why do you do that? Because you're talking of round tripping. Now, we're talking of temptation. So if you're going to get this money at 305 from the official window, and then the rate is 520 at para market, the temptation is too strong. What sort of business am I going to do? Legitimate business. I'll sit down and do my calculation that I'll make 200 naira spread.
Mr. Chizo, if I may come in here, Tunji, the two of them have raised some issues that are somewhat on the same page. We'll get back to them, but you're talking here about the CBN being able to sustain this. I mean, but he said something about sustainability, about transparency and control. You're saying $1 million per week, yes, per bank, in the whole year, boils down to about $1 billion.
Yes, I know my calculation, yes.
But there are some people, so some manufacturers who would tell you they need more than $1 million.
Let's also understand that 1 million is directed at PTA and
school fees.
Yes, that's what it's
so manufacturing needs are out
another. Yes. So Mr. Chizo, how would that work? Plus
the already existing demand.
Okay. So how would that work in terms of sustainability?
Yeah. Well, okay. You see, we all know in economics, it's going to prioritization. I think that we should prioritize. We should prioritize this new policy. Prioritize it, put emphasis on it, and ensure that it succeeds. And now, I say to us, money still comes in. We still get inflows. I don't have the figures. It's not as if we're just dependent on the money on the standard reserves. Money still comes in.
Money still comes in from oil.
Yeah, from oil too. From oil.
Any other thing?
Well, I mean, there are portfolio inflows. It's not all dried up.
They're not all dried, but are they at the level as they were that can sustain us where we're going?
This is what's important. What we are saying is this. I'm saying to us here, the central bank can put aside $1 billion a year to fund BTA, personal travel allowance, medicals, and education, which is what this policy more or less is about.
What about traceability?
No, traceability, okay, we're talking about how
to trace this money.
You see, I say to us, one of the things I said in the paper I did is that one of the things that made this successful is that we should proper tracking. Now, if you look at the policy, if you go to details in terms of if you want to get business travel allowance and so on and so on, that is like even the number of hours flight you have to make sure you're going to get the cost.
It shouldn't be less than 5 hours.
5 hours and so. And I know that even if with all these policies in place, that Nigerians are very crafty, trying to, create corners. But I'm saying that in spite of what we're saying in terms of demands elsewhere, that we should be able to do this program, sustain this program, because it's going to change the thing. Already, the speculators who are causing this problem, that are having their fingers burnt already.
Can I even...
Mr. Chizie, before you come in, Mr. Chizie, we agree that the program is good.
Yes.
So, Tunji,
Yeah.
in one word, is the program good? No, don't worry about that. You will explain the other part. Is the policy good? Is it a good policy?
That's it. You're trying to trap me.
No, I'm not trapping you.
Yeah.
Because you give us the challenges to the policy. But first of all, is it a good policy?
It's not the solution to the problem.
Okay, but it's good, but not the solution.
Yeah.
So, in terms of finding a solution to this, you mentioned issues about transparency. I know that Tokwe talked about tracking the money.
Yeah.
He also talked about sustainability. It cannot be sustainable. Mr. Chizie is saying it's possible for the CBN to do this. But you're saying it's not possible.
I'm saying that, he's done the calculation to a year and he's been able to come up with $1 billion, which I've not yet done that calculation. But let's also go back to that document which is CBN put in the policy, and it spoke about also making sure that there is some sort of, I'm using my words now, responsible demand also.
Yes, you must
expecting that there's some sort of responsible demand. So
it's
the CBN is also now relying on our goodwill to not also
break the law.
No, not break the law, but ask for too much. You see, so there's a lot of emotion in this thing, and that is what I want us to put emotion aside and focus on.
We'll put emotion aside and go on a quick break. We'll come back. Pick up from there. Don't go away.